Support for the death penalty among Americans is lower than at any point in the last 40 years. You have to go back 40 years to get to a point where Americans are this negative about the death penalty. This is according to a new Gallup poll that was out yesterday. Raw Story has a good summary of this. Support for the death penalty at a 4-decade low, although most Americans, 3 out of 5, still favor it. 60% say they back capital punishment for convicted killers. This is the lowest figure dating back to November of 1972, when the death penalty had a slightly lower 57% support from Americans. By 1994, support for the death penalty had increased to about 80%. And since then, it's just been on a steady decline. 44% of respondents to the Gallup survey said the death penalty isn't being imposed often enough. Interesting. Of the 50 American states, 32 implement the death penalty. 18 plus Washington, D.C. have abolished it. Lewis, before we delve more deeply into this, the number, 60% roughly, is that high, low? Are you surprised that what's your reaction to the numbers, I guess?
Well, I think we're just seeing a really slow change, right? I mean, so I guess I'm not surprised. I think this is a trend that will continue. Hopefully we can get rid of it within 10 years everywhere, but I'm not sure about that.
Well, if you even look within the U.S. at the 32 states that have the death penalty, over 1/3 of U.S. capital punishment deaths have occurred in Texas, which is 5 times as many as in any other state. And then you have Virginia, Oklahoma, and Florida. But after those first 4 states, the other 28 aren't contributing much in terms of the death penalty. It really is focused incredibly in these 4 states. Now, if you look around the world, Lewis, if you look at Amnesty International, they say 140 countries have abolished the death penalty. And one of the conversations we often have around the death penalty is the U.S. is one of very few countries at our level of development that still has the death penalty and doesn't have single-payer health care, and that this should really tell us something. And I was looking today at the list of what countries have the death penalty and what countries don't, and it really says a lot, Lewis. Take a listen to this. Which countries allow the death penalty? Here's a few. Afghanistan, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Chad, Botswana, China, Congo, Cuba, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Iran, Iraq, Qatar, Yemen, Sudan, Syria, Uganda, Somalia. Who doesn't allow the death penalty, Lewis? Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, my home country of Argentina, Portugal, South Africa, Spain, Switzerland, Turkey. Are you seeing something here, Lewis, where it seems almost like the U.S. is an outlier, in a sense, in the list of countries that have the death penalty?
Oh, definitely. I think it's a result of that hardcore conservative mentality, and that's the only reason it's persisting in the states it is.
Well, that's exactly the point I was hoping you would make, which is this is not so. We could say that it's related to poverty and development. We could have that conversation and say the U.S. is an outlier, but it's more interesting to look at it in a different way, which is that conservative ideology where even if we say that countries around the world are generally speaking more liberal than the U.S., a lot of these countries, including Afghanistan, Iran and Iraq, Yemen, Qatar, some of the African countries have different types of conservatism, some religious-based, some based on other areas of society, but it is really this extreme conservatism that seems to be what is the link there. And when you look at many of the countries that have abolished the death penalty, you see a very different, it's just a totally different culture and lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's really the connection we need to draw from this. It's mostly just an ideological one.
Why do we still have this? Executing innocent people, the high cost of the death penalty, sometimes prolonging victim suffering through multiple appeals to figure out what exactly will be the ultimate penalty for a perpetrator of a crime, no evidence that it deters crime, totally arbitrary in terms of when and where it is applied, disproportionately used against minorities, just to name a few reasons why it may be time to get rid of the death penalty. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully these numbers are indicative of that.